Well, good morning. It's 6:15. Raining and a warming trend on the way. We'll get to that coming up with the weather forecast. Tragedy over the weekend with Will Smith. Just a horrible, horrible story. I mean, if you as this unfolds, have you seen anything like this? Is just a terrible story.
It's unbelievable.
So here's what we know right now, and there's more coming out of this. The attorney for the shooter has made some pretty wild accusations, and there's an interesting twist and an interesting connection. A story we had on our website yesterday that came out of New Orleans. First of all, if you've not heard, which I find it probably most people have at this point, but the NFL player who is from Utica, who played for Proctor, went to school in Utica, Will Smith, was shot and killed on Saturday night after what looks like in the beginning was a simple road rage event. But now, as it turns out, there's more to the story. The man who has been charged in the murder of Will Smith, it's seen now that he has a connection, even if it's a bit of a remote connection, but a lot of people are beginning to ask questions. So here is the connection. It turns out that a few years back, his father was shot and killed by police. That police officer was at dinner with Will Smith on Saturday night. So all of a sudden, by coincidence, this guy ends up being in a fender bender with Will Smith, who was just at dinner with the man who is believed to be partly responsible for his father's death. There was a lawsuit. Without getting into all of the background of this, the attorney for the shooter says no connection at all. This was just a coincidence. This was a hit and run. But the attorney is saying, wait, there's more to this story. Will Smith was actually in his car when he was shot and killed. He was found, witnesses saw him. He was hunched over the steering wheel. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so the officer was involved in the lawsuit. I wanted to double check that. He didn't shoot the guy's dad.
The officer was, there were, the way this went down, so the guy's dad, there was a disturbance called in. I think it was a convenience store. Police arrived. The man who the shooter's father, they say, had maybe mental issues, and that has been documented in court papers. He was disturbing. There was a disturbance at the convenience store. Police arrived. They tried to subdue him and most likely arrest him. There were 3 or 4 officers at the scene. As they tried to arrest him, the man charged the officer, the lieutenant, who was at dinner with Will Smith. And this goes back 10 years ago. This is 10, 12 years ago when this happened. So he did not shoot the man, but the other officers, as he was being charged, shot and killed the man. Does that make sense?
I guess so. There's some conflicting reports out there.
What are the conflicting reports?
I have a report that he said he was not at the okay, never mind. At the accident shooting scene.
Correct. He was not at the accident. He was at dinner with them before. So, but he was the man that this father was charging after with a knife, and the other police officer shot and killed him. Now, there was a lawsuit. This shooter and his family received money from they believe, I guess it was a settlement that occurred through the city of New Orleans. So that connection is kind of, that's a very amazing coincidence, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the attorney yesterday, as of late last night, was saying there is no connection. He was not targeting. He was not stalking Will Smith. There was no connection whatsoever. That's what the attorney is saying. So now the attorney is actually making some pretty wild accusations, saying you better check the toxicology report on the Will Smith and the people in his party, that his client, the shooter who has now been charged with second-degree murder, that his client was not the aggressor. Well, if I guess that is a crazy, to me, it's a kind of a crazy defense, because at the end of the day, it's Will Smith that was shot. The bullets went through the vehicle. There was what is believed to be a bullet hole in the windshield. Will Smith was shot while he was in his car. Even if Will Smith was the aggressor, there was no reason for Will Smith to be shot in the back.
And his wife was shot as well.
And his wife was shot twice in the leg. I think this is a pretty crazy defense.
Well, and not to mention...
And, by the way, this attorney is going to be stepping down today. Another attorney will be appointed to this guy. But he's making some wild accusations against Will Smith. There was another NFL player that was along for the evening, and some other people. The car ahead of Will Smith. So this started with a fender bender. The man ran into the back of Will Smith's car, sending Will Smith's car into the back of another car. That car had people in it that were also a part of the party, according to what's coming out here today. So all of this very big confusion is happening as everything begins to unfold. But I guess I don't understand, Christine, how this man could not be the aggressor. Ultimately, when you make the decision to go into your car and grab a gun and shoot people, it doesn't matter who was the aggressor in the argument.
Well, he's not claiming self-defense, right? He's just claiming that Smith was the aggressor. He's
saying that you're going to find, based on the law, according to the attorney, when the details come out, that his client is not guilty. Now, an attorney is going to say whatever he can for his client, but right. I don't know how you can build a defense on this case when you shot a man who was in his car.
Also, he also allegedly rear-ended Will Smith's car too, right?
He did, but the attorney's claiming that just earlier in the night, his car was rear-ended. Mm-hmm. So it does sound like this had some road rage involved. There's a lot to this story, and the attorney is adding more. It's really, really crazy. Quick break. Here's Christine with an update right now at 6:22.